Okay. Hey, mompreneurs. This is Maureen Doss, the virtual workhorse, CEO and owner of the virtual workhorse and the magical magician of all things automations. So today you're here for Mom Talk, and we have Nicole. Craig, she's with us. Hey, Nicole.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Yes, I am so glad that you're with us today. I follow you on social media. Of course, I've known you for years and years, just through family friends. Of course, you married a
My
family friend.
husband, yes.
Yes, I might have babysat him when he was
I was
little,
about to
but
say
we
that.
won't get into that.
I was
So,
about to say
but
that.
I have just been in awe of watching you grow your brand for Bold on social media and what you stand for. And I know that you have two little kids and you're trying to do it all. And so I really wanted to talk to you on my Mom Talk show, where we talk all about mom guilt, the struggles of building a business of our dreams while trying to be present for our kids. I did have bad internet connection today in my office, so I am downstairs with the dog, but we're all moms here, so we understand the family interactions of trying to get work done. So Nicole, just introduce yourself and tell everybody a little bit about you and your family.
Sure. I'm Nicole. I have two children. I'm a mom. I have a 4-year-old son and a 1-year-old daughter. So still consider myself a fairly new mom.
Yes, and they're precious.
Thank you. I've been married for 7 years now. I married my high school sweetheart. We've been together for a long time. I think Josh said it was 16 years today, but I refuse to believe that that's a real number because that just sounds like a really long time. So yeah, we have a lot on our plate. We're very busy people, where it would probably overwhelm a lot of people, but we really like it. Sometimes not.
It works for you.
Yes, I work in marketing during the day. So I have a full-time job in marketing. I'm a social media lead for a digital marketing agency in Roswell.
Okay.
But I work from home. So I work remotely full-time.
Right.
I've been working in social media for about 7 or 8 years now. I'm a nationally award-winning social media strategist. So
Wow.
I know a lot about social media.
Yes.
And then I've been teaching fitness classes for 10 years this December. So it's been almost a decade.
It's been 10 years.
Yeah. I've taught everything from Zumba to kickboxing to strength training. I've taught so many different formats, some that don't even exist anymore. But about 2 years ago, conveniently, right before the world decided to close down, I made the decision. The gym I had taught at for a really long time and instructed at actually closed down. And I was considering stopping teaching fitness. I was considering just quitting, focusing on my son had just been born. I was going to focus on my family. Yeah. And I thought that someday I wanted to work in marketing long term. I thought that was my dream.
Yeah.
But no, my two partners that help me with my studio now, they kind of gave me a nice little slap in the face. Very gently had a little come to Jesus meeting with me.
Right.
And they were like, you can't just let this go because you're really good at this and you're talented at it and you enjoy it. So we were unhappy and unsatisfied with what we saw happening in the fitness industry and what we saw happening even in the health industry, specifically to moms, and how moms and young women are targeted and made to feel shamed for their body and shamed for enjoying food or the size of their body or whatever, not exercising, whatever. So we created Bold. It was actually our 2-year birthday in July.
Yay,
June.
congratulations.
It was in June.
That's
Thank you.
Awesome.
So we started our own fitness format from scratch.
Yeah.
I LLC'd my name. I got ACE certified. And we rented out a tiny little room in the back of a kid's dance studio.
Wow.
And so we just decided that we were going to go for it and see what happened. We were kind of just we started out as Dance Fitness with Nicole. Then I was like, we need a real name. So we came up, I still have the scratch paper where I was writing names down, trying to figure out what would be catchy. And my dad was like, you need a name that's a normal word, a descriptive word that everybody can remember.
Right.
And I was like, okay, bold. That makes sense. I'm a very bold person. That's how I
Right.
am. I don't have to do anything. I'm very like all in. So it just
Right.
fit. So we became Bold Cardio Dance.
I love it.
And now 2 years later, which is really exciting, is we're going to have to transition now into Bold Fitness Studio because we offer more than cardio dance.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So we are transitioning now. We're going to have to do a little bit of a rebrand, which
Yeah.
is a really good thing because
Yeah.
we're not just offering one thing anymore, but
Exactly.
it's something that I told you before, I'm extremely passionate about this, and it's been like a complete dream come true to run my own fitness studio and like connect with women, mostly moms. Most of my people are moms. So we have that in common, that we kind of have like dedicated ourselves to helping
Right.
moms.
Right.
That makes sense.
I love
So
that. Oh,
that's like
yeah.
my lifelong summary
Right.
of how I got to where I am right now.
No, I love it. I love it. And so tell me, like, um, what's your passion behind like body positivity and body shaming and things like that? Where does that come from? Does that just come from seeing that like in the mainstream social media?
I
Um,
think a lot of people can relate to the fact that I
mhm,
think almost all women, probably all women,
mhm,
um, go through this horrible cycle from like way too young of an age
mm,
of trying diets and trying excessively difficult workouts and
right.
failing, and then trying to diet again. And you go through this cycle where
Mm,
women right now are being raised,
mhm.
from whatever to blame is the media or whatever, but
Yeah.
we're being raised to think that we need to be smaller. And
Mm,
this is even coming from like fitness professionals and health professionals, and it's just
right.
inaccurate information. And I saw this like disconnect. And I myself got tired of
Mhm.
trying to be smaller and trying to fit into a mold that other
Right.
people put me in,
The other
especially as like a
people. Yeah.
fitness instructor, right?
Mhm.
People expect your fitness instructor to be uh, traditionally thin and
Right.
look a certain way,
Mhm.
when it's just no way to live to constantly try to shrink yourself. And I
Right.
saw this need, right? Just
Yeah.
constantly be worried about what you're putting in your mouth and constantly be worried about how you look. And I just like,
Right.
I myself went through it. I
Mhm.
dealt with this my whole
Yeah.
life of always being like the bigger girl in the friend group and always
Mhm.
feeling insecure about my size. And so
Right.
I did a lot of research. I read a lot of books,
Mhm.
and I realized that there are women out there like me who needed me.
Right.
And so I was like, okay,
Needed someone to stand up for them. Yeah.
yeah. And it's scary, and we get pushback like you do on social media for being
Yeah.
different, but
Right.
it's worth it. It's always worth it. But I just
Right.
wanted to connect with other women that were like me, who
Yeah.
didn't feel like they had a safe place to go and exercise
Yeah.
because they'd be shamed for how their body
Well,
looks.
yeah. How many women, I mean, even me myself, probably I wouldn't say so much as now, but in my younger days, wouldn't want to go work out because I feel
Right.
like they would be judging me for my size, or why is she here? And then, why did she go eat that after she worked out so hard? How many people are shamed for that? And yeah, so I just really commend you for what you're doing.
Thank you.
I think it's a huge thing. I hope that young teenagers will follow you, and learn that um, before they become adults, and that stuff is already ingrained in them, right?
Exactly. And I try to change the minds of moms too, because
Yeah.
a lot of the moms we have in our studio, immediately after they have children, they want
Mm,
to snap their body back. They want to be back
right.
to the size they were when they were
We just birthed
16.
a miracle,
You just
a
birth a
life
human
grew in
life.
us.
Right. And that's going to change your body forever. And so what we try to do is start from accepting and loving yourself
Right.
as you are,
Right.
like as you are right then and there. And
Mhm.
then we'll add healthy habits to improve your fitness and improve your
Yeah.
health. But start at the self-love, because you
Yeah.
need that, especially as a mom. Like you can't fill anybody else's cup until you fill
Mm-mm,
your own. You
no,
have to love yourself first.
it took me a long time to learn that.
And
Right.
I think I reach teenagers and kids. I know and I
Yeah. I
preach
mean,
this.
it's
This
a
is what
work
I
in
stand for,
progress.
but I still struggle with it
Oh
all the
yeah.
time. But I like to think that I'm reaching those teenagers and kids through people's moms, like through their
Yes,
moms too, because if I get them
exactly.
to love themselves,
Mhm.
then your kids are watching you.
Exactly.
They're watching how you talk about yourself and how you
Right.
feel about yourself, and they're gonna copy that.
And that's such a
And
great way to
so,
look at it.
yeah, you're
Yeah.
doing something for your kids when you start taking care of yourself, for sure.
Right. Oh, goodness, definitely. I love
Yeah.
that. Well, so tell me, you work your full-time job. You work pretty much full-time building Bold and being amazing to all of these women. And you have 2 little kids and a husband. So I'm sure like some mom guilt comes into some choices that you need to make on a daily basis and
Oh
maybe
yeah.
even more than one time.
Oh yeah.
So what is that like for you? Like, do you deal with that? Like some people are like, I handle it pretty well. I'm like, I don't.
That must be nice.
My kids are 15 and 20,
And you
um,
still feel that way?
and I still feel
Wow.
that way.
See, I like to look at that as like, I like to look at that from a positive light, that means you care, that we
Right.
care. And it's
Yeah.
not that people who don't feel guilty don't care. It's just
Right.
that's how our care is kind of manifesting.
That's how ours comes
Um,
across. Yeah.
but my first year was the worst. The
Hmm.
first year running Bold was the worst. And even before I even started my own business, I still had I feel like your first child, you're just learning by like running off the of like trying to get yourself together. And you're just
Yeah.
a mess. Everybody
Oh yeah.
struggles. But I have extremely I'm very high anxiety, so I have that dealing with, and so
Hmm.
that would kind of mesh with the mom guilt.
Yeah.
And I still deal with it all the time. And
Right.
luckily, I have a support system around me that
So
reassures
important.
me
Hmm.
that what I'm doing is actually good for the kids.
Yes.
And so I talk about my dad a lot because he's kind of like my mentor. But
Yeah.
um, I remember as a kid asking him, like, why do you go to the gym so much? Like, can you not just sit at home with me and like hang out
Right.
with me? And
Right.
he looked at me and he was like, I exercise for you. I do it so that I'll be here for you as long as possible, but also to let off some stress.
Yeah.
And, so we
Right.
have to do things for ourselves
Hmm.
too. We cannot dedicate 24/7, 365 days a year solely into our children. And
Right.
that might sound bad because obviously I dedicate my life to them. They're my whole world.
Right.
But in order for me to take care of them really well, I have to take care of myself. And Bold
Right.
is something that fills me up and like makes me feel good.
Yes.
On top of that, I always tell myself, like, Emma, my daughter, is going to watch me.
Hmm.
She's going to see her mom starting a business and starting a movement, and even my
Yeah.
son too, and pushing and trying to make the world a better place, and hopefully know that she can do it too.
Exactly.
And so I use all that to like combat it, but I feel it all the time. Every day
Yeah.
every time I go to the studio, I'm like, so my husband is like in charge of bedtime.
Yeah.
That's because he's better at it than I am, but also because I'm not here. I'm at the studio, I work
Right.
late. Um,
And that's okay.
right. We have
You
our
have
balances.
your um
Hmm.
like you have it down.
Hmm.
Your
We
system.
do,
Your
but
routine.
I still feel it all the time. I think the first year
Yeah.
was the worst, and then after that, you kind of just like come into a flow, and you learn to like tell yourself like it's going to be okay. They don't need your attention all the time.
Right.
They if anything, they need to be independent on their own sometimes
Yeah.
too, and that's really good for them. And you have to like remember who you are. You know
Right.
what I mean? Because
Yeah.
someday they'll be grown and moved out, and they'll have
Mhm.
their own life, and I have to remember who I am too. So I have to like keep that.
Right.
Does that
Yeah.
make sense?
Oh, it makes so much sense,
Yeah.
definitely. You
Yeah.
hear people say that about your marriage, right? Like take care of
Hmm.
each other because one day your kids are going to grow up and go away and you're going to be stuck with him, right?
Yep. Yes. Yeah. I'm gonna be
But
stuck
you're
with
right.
Josh.
You're going to be with yourself again. And
Right.
if you give your 110% into them and nothing into yourself, you're probably going to be lost.
And even
Um,
that, like, and giving into yourself, it pours into your kids too. It's
oh
just,
gosh,
if
yeah.
you're
I mean,
miserable, they know. They can, like,
oh,
they feel that. They feel
definitely.
the anxiety. They
Yeah.
feel the guilt. And that is more unhealthy for them than taking time away from them.
I agree, and that's such a great point. That is such a great point. Yeah. And I know people probably think it's just cliche to say you can't pour from an empty cup, but it is so
Oh
true,
no, it's not cliche at all. It's
right?
100% true.
It
Yeah,
is
you have to put the
so
oxygen
true.
mask on yourself. Like when you're in an airplane, they say put it on
Right?
yourself first, then put it on the people around you.
I have thought about that before. I'm like,
Mhm.
really? Like, I don't want to do that. It almost gives me anxiety to think about
I
having to put
know.
my own on first, right? But
Hmm.
what if I die before I get theirs on, right? It's
Right.
not
You
going to do them.
cannot. And this goes for like my studio members, not just my kids. Like I have to take care of myself
Yeah.
because if
Oh
I don't take care
yeah.
of myself, I can't take care.
Right.
My whole job right now is to take care of other people. I'm constantly like pouring into other people and trying to
Yeah.
build them up. And if I'm not taking care of me,
Mhm.
then they know. Like they can feel it. You can't work as effectively, you can't
Yeah.
parent as effectively. It all just starts to crumble.
Yeah. And I really do think that you're making a movement. You're just for these women, and I know that you have a big social media following, don't you?
It's getting yeah, it's
It's
growing.
growing.
Specifically, somehow I don't know why it happened, but we blew up on TikTok a little bit. I think we got like 2,000 followers overnight out of nowhere. Out of nowhere. I post consistently and
Yeah.
obviously I know what I'm doing because I work in social media.
Yes.
Um, but uh yeah, our social media following is growing. I found that with that growth, we do get a lot of pushback. I
Yeah.
do get some bullies.
Mhm.
I've had my first run in with some bullies this year.
Yeah.
Uh, and luckily, I'm extremely thick skinned and like it doesn't bother me at all. If anything, I'm like, so I'm doing something right. Because if everybody's always agreeing with you all the time, then you're probably not, probably don't have
Right.
like your own opinions. You're not
Right.
being bold enough.
Yeah, exactly. And unfortunately, it's just we can't, what other people are going through and what they're going to say and how they've been brought
Exactly.
up and their beliefs. And it's not, it's what they've been exposed to. And so changing that is going to take generations.
Yep. And
Uh,
it's my job to just get my message out to as many
yeah.
women as I possibly can.
Yeah.
And if some people don't agree with it, then that's okay. And
Yes.
it actually took me a really long time to get to this point
Yeah.
because I'm not a very laid back, relaxed person. I get very passionate about changing people's minds and like trying to help women understand that like a lot of what we're taught is wrong
Yeah.
and inaccurate
Yeah.
and meant to like put them down. And
Hmm.
so I get very passionate about it, but I just I have a mentor and she tells me like I just focus on just spreading it. Just let it go. Let it out there. Don't if you keep it to yourself, then you're being selfish. You need to push it out to as many women as you can.
Right.
Social media has been like a great vehicle to
Oh
help us do
yeah.
that.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. Okay. And so what is your TikTok
At Bold Cardio Dance.
at Bold
I love
Cardio?
okay. I I get picked on by my friends because I was like the last person to join because I was not into TikTok and I was like, I don't know about this. I'm nervous about this new app. I know that like new social media platforms can like come and go really fast. And so I
Yeah.
was like, I don't want to do this. I want to do Instagram. But I have actually found that the people on TikTok are so much more receptive and
Really?
kind than the people on Instagram.
I love that.
Because if you study social media like I do,
Yeah.
Instagram is still very much like this curated show, like your highlight reel, your
Okay.
best self, your best
Right.
face. And it still has, there's this like high expectation to be perfect on
Right.
Instagram, have
Mhm.
like the perfect family and a big house and all these other things. And
Right, right.
TikTok, they want transparency. They want to like see you. And if you bring that curated image over to TikTok, they almost like sniff it out and they're
Right.
like, you're not being real. Like you're not being authentic.
Right, yeah.
That on top of I found that I have a secret skill. I have a skill I didn't know I had. My secret talent is doing the lip syncing videos.
I
I'm
love
really good at the lip syncing. I don't know why. I get compliments on it all the
I love
time,
your
but
videos. I love all of them.
we have a lot of fun making them. So like
Sometimes I'm
we
like,
just
I wanna be like Nicole.
it's a lot of work, but we have a lot of fun. Like me and
Yeah,
the girls, I have two other girls that help me run the gym.
yeah,
And we have fun. Like we find the audios we think kind of click with our message and
yeah,
we just make it silly and we don't take ourselves too seriously. And so
yeah.
that has helped our following grow a lot.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So tell me, why do you work so hard? Why do you work so hard to keep doing, working a full-time job, trying to build this brand? Like, what is your passion behind this?
a really good question. I thought you were gonna stop at why do you work so hard? And I was gonna be like, sometimes I don't know. I genuinely, I, I don't know. I find that I like to be busy.
Yeah.
Like I really like. I've never been the type of person to like go with the flow or like follow what other people are doing. And so I knew from a young age that like a 9 to 5 was not going to cut it for me. Like that
Right.
I had something, and which is fine if that is your dream and that's
Right.
perfectly cool.
Right.
Um, I need something different, and I always need to be moving forward. It's just what makes me feel good to be moving forward.
Right.
And so showing up at my marketing job every day was just not, it is fulfilling and I enjoy other businesses, but I wanted to connect with women like on a
Right.
personal level, and I wanted to give back and help women in my community. And fitness was just a passion of mine. And
Yeah.
someday I think I'll be doing that full time, but right now, like most people who start businesses, I have to provide for my family. And so I make both work. And
Yeah.
it's hard sometimes. And sometimes I do sit back and I ask myself, I'm like, why am I doing this? Like, why am I doing? Because, like, owning a business is not required. This isn't something anybody's making me do. I'm like
Right.
choosing more work. And
Mhm.
like new businesses don't make money. They don't
Right.
they're like, this isn't a way that I'm going to get rich
Right.
ever, because this community is about giving back to other people.
Right.
It just makes me feel good, like,
Yeah.
to know. And usually when I get into my little like downward spiral that we all get into, where I'm like, why am I doing this? My kids need me right now. I'm feeling
Yeah.
really guilty. Somehow
Mhm.
they know. And
Right.
like somebody in my community reaches out to me. I found that like as soon as I get into my weird little like downward spiral, one of my members will message me and they'll be like, I don't know why, I just felt like I needed to reach out to you and tell you that
Aw,
you're changing my life.
that's
I swear
awesome.
it happens every time. And
That's
I'm like, or
amazing.
we'll have like a really full class that night that I'm starting to like get down on myself. And I'll be like, you sit there in a room full of women and you're exercising and it seems like it's not that big of a deal, but you really look at them and like how different everyone is, how unique our customer base is.
Yeah.
And I know their histories and I know where they come from and I know how hard it was for them to get there. And
Right.
you just start to have this moment
Yeah.
where you're like, oh, this is cool. Like I
You
brought all
really
these people
matter.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm doing something that matters. And
Yeah.
so that's what was important to me. And so yeah,
Mhm.
I have a lot on my plate and it's stressful, but I get to that studio and I see them, or I see my kids get to see me chasing my dream. And I'm
Yes.
like, okay, this is worth it.
I
This
know.
will be worth it.
I saw your little boy on the yoga mat with you the other day.
Yeah.
So,
I want him to see me doing this, and I want him
yeah.
to, and he's only 4, but we're already practicing like positive. I don't talk about
Yeah.
my weight in front of him. I don't
Right.
criticize my physical appearance in front of him.
Right.
I'm very open with him about like, hey, mommy's got a lot on her plate right now, and it's not your fault that I'm a little stressed.
Right.
Let's watch a movie and chill out. And so
Right.
I'm very honest with him, and I know that might seem like he's kind of young for that, but
Hmm.
I've always wanted that like open communication with him, and I want him to
Yeah.
know that like I'm not perfect and
Hmm.
I'm not going to try to be perfect. And so
Yeah.
he doesn't have to try to be that way
I
either.
love that.
And so him and my daughter both they'll never hear me say, and you grow up and your parents mean really well and they don't do it on purpose. And I'm sure I've done it on accident,
Right.
but like you watch your mom like try on a pair of jeans and she's like, oh, I need to cut back. These don't
Yeah.
fit anymore. And you
Simple
internalize
little.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so instead, I want to show him, hey, exercise is fun. Chasing your dreams is great. Like, do the thing that you want to do, be passionate about,
Hmm.
love yourself as much as you can. Anyway, it's not always very easy, but
Yeah.
we practice it. And
Definitely.
that's how I give back to them,
Yeah.
despite being as busy as I am.
I love that. And so what tip for mom guilt would you give somebody that's trying to build the business of their dreams, but just dealing with so much mom guilt of, having to take some time away from the kids or, having to miss bedtime, and things like that? What one tip would you give?
I didn't come up with this myself. I read it somewhere and I can't
Yeah.
remember where I read it, but to just remember that you're a person too. You're not a robot. You're not like a
Right.
mom bot. You're a human being and you deserve to be able to chase your dreams
Yeah.
despite having children, and your kids deserve to see their mom be happy.
Right.
And so why it's not like always super easy and you are going to be under a little bit more stress, in the long run, it's better for them. And it
Right.
doesn't feel like that right in that moment, but it is. You're
Right.
giving back to them by giving back to yourself.
Right.
And also remembering that, like, Josh and I, my husband and I, try to delegate as much as possible. So we're a team, we work together, we have a lot of help.
Yeah.
So that's another way that I've eased my mom guilt, is by having help. My kids have 2 amazing aunts that love them and nurture them and care about them just as much as I do.
Yes.
So, like, not being afraid to like ask for help and having that like team around you.
Definitely.
And then my husband and I have this analogy that, like, everything you have to do, and we read this somewhere too, and I can't remember where we got it from. Might have been my dad. I don't know. But everything in your life, all the tasks you have to do, your relationships, it's kind of, you can imagine them like, if you heard of that, where you're balancing balls in the air. So you're like juggling balls in the air. Some of the balls are rubber and some of them are glass. So it's okay to let the rubber ones fall sometimes.
Oh, I love that.
But we focus on the glass.
Right.
So, like, obviously your kids are glass, but missing bedtime once in a while, that's rubber. That's okay.
Right.
That's going to be fine.
I'm pretty
Or
sure
like,
the laundry and the dishes are rubber.
I was literally just about to do that. I was about to say that. Dishes, laundry, vacuuming, keeping everything spotless, that's rubber. You know
I
what I
love
mean? Like,
that. I
let
love
that
that
fall
analogy.
and nurture the relationship with your kids. Your kid's not going to look back and be like, well, it was always dusty in our house and the sink was always full. They don't care about that. They care about like the genuine relationship that you have with each other.
Yeah.
So I sacrifice the cleanliness. Sometimes I sacrifice time with my friends to work really hard on my passion and also pour back into my kids and give them the attention that they need.
Yeah.
Because they're glass.
Having that snuggle movie time is so much more important than saying my sink has to be clean 100% of the time, you know? And I know there are some people like that balance that very well. And I wish I was one, but
I let it go.
I'm like, my mom.
Yeah. And I think too, like, not just mom guilt, we have small business guilt where we think we have to give 110% into our business and into the people that we're serving, but that's not true either. Like, you have to set a boundary there. And sometimes I'll say, like, yeah, I have this whole list of things I need to do today, but it can wait. It can wait an hour for me to sit down on the floor with my kids and play with them.
Yeah,
so you kind of have to like
there's a whole nother guilt level associated with that. And if I'm not just busting it 100% of the time, then I'm not going to be successful.
Not true at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not true at all. You do not have to go. And I had to learn this because I am extremely aggressive is the wrong word. I just like to push. I like to push forward. I'm like, let's go, let's build this thing. But I read another thing that was like, a slow burn is better than a flash in the pan. And you have to let your business cook slowly over time.
I love that.
And just allow it. And sometimes like just stepping away from it is so important to like not getting burnt out. And burnout's another thing that goes along kind of with mom guilt and being a mom and working. And
exactly,
that can be a struggle.
And that's why we need to take care of ourselves and go to bold.
Exactly. I would love to have you in class. I know you're super busy, but I'd love to have you.
I know. I want
a lot of
swag. I want to come to class. I love watching you guys. Sometimes I'm like, yes, I'm just like a groupie or something.
I was about to say like a fangirl. We actually have a lot of people like that. And then eventually they finally take their first class and then they're hooked.
Yeah.
And sometimes it takes people a while.
I always want to share about you, and I want to share, if anybody's in the Atlanta, West Cobb Metro Atlanta area, then
Dallas area.
Nicole, Dallas, Georgia. You have to look up Nicole and her dance studio and her amazing team.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
I am so thankful to be able to chat with you, and all of your advice and your passion just really shines through. And I just appreciate it so much. And
thank you. I appreciate you.
Yes. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yes, of course. Thank you for having me.
Bye, Nicole.
Thank you.